Hello, America. Welcome to the Marriage Reboot Show, hosted by Herb and Lulie Thomas.
This is the Christian Marriage Reboot Training Academy. The Christian Marriage Reboot is the only real-life experience that instantly changes your life and your daily activities and behaviors into the marriage that God intended. We're looking to create redemption stories. The enemy of our souls would love to see your family fall apart. The world has normalized divorce, and it is painful because the Lord says that when a man and a woman marry, they become one flesh. Divorce is a separation of that flesh, but at Marriage Reboot, we believe divorce can be avoided, and your children and futures and your generations can be salvaged to create a great redemption story through the love and the renewing of the mind of Jesus Christ. To be eligible for the Christian Marriage Reboot Training Academy, the couple must answer yes to 4 questions. Are you married? Are you both Christians? Are you struggling in your marriage? And are you willing to follow Jesus? If the couple answers yes to those 4 simple questions, they are perfect for the Training Academy and are eligible to buy now and immediately purchase their place.
Hello, America.
Good morning. It's Herb and Lulie Thomas with the Marriage Reboot Show, and we're so glad that you joined us today. We live in Dallas, Texas. We have 3 sons. We have 3 beautiful daughters in love. We have 8 grandchildren, and we've been married 47 years. So we are delighted that you're here with us today. And today, we don't have a guest, but we're going to kind of walk you through the Marriage Reboot Academy and the Christian Marriage Reboot Academy. And Herb will be telling you about what he's discovered and in this 8-year journey that he has taken in searching God's Word and reading books and articles and doing research, what he has learned about the with the Christian marriage family, and then this wonderful academy that, with God's guidance, he has assembled to come along and provide a delivery system where you can actually implement these precepts. So, Herb, are you ready to start?
Yes.
But do you want to do some catch up?
We can first do some housekeeping. The housekeeping is one to download our mutual decision process PDF. You can do it 2 different ways. You can go to the QR code up in the left-hand corner, hit that with your camera. It'll go to our website. You go to Apply Now. Or you scroll down about halfway down and you'll see mutual decision process button. Hit that, put your email in, and you'll get it instantaneously. The other way is at the top, you'll see our URL, which is our website. Go to that, do the same thing, scroll down, hit the mutual decision process button, and put in your email, and you'll get it immediately. So those are the 2. And also, we'd like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Christian Marriage Reboot Academy. Just search for that, find that, and hit subscription and notify. With you get the notification bell, you'll be able to get our future podcasts and blogs and other materials that we put up on YouTube. So, yes, that's the time.
Okay. And if you have comments, we'd love for you to put them in the comment or even on the Facebook or going to the YouTube. Give us feedback because we really want to be here for you to help you achieve and experience the fullness in your marriages of all God has for you. So, anyway, you ready to start?
Right. What I wanted to do is tell you why today's topic is the Academy, the Family Saver. Why is that important? Is the family in trouble? that's what I'm trying to, for the last 8 years, I've had a great concern for young couples because I've seen the phenomenon over and over again of young couples that have great great weddings, and then they end up 5, 10, 15 years down the road where either actual divorces or it turns into a shell marriage where there's really no fire left in the marriage. And that's essentially an emotional divorce at that point, the family at that point. And so this is a phenomenon that and danger that I want to warn you couples about, because I love you so much. I care about you and want you not to go through this pain that you will go through because of the fact that I've noticed two different phenomenons. One's worldwide and one's individual. The worldwide one is that 98%, at least in the United States, statistics show that 98% have rejected God's way of doing marriage. Now, God is the one who invented marriage. He invented man. He created man, woman, marriage, children, and family. And he did that as a covenant relationships among those to function altogether. And so that's the way he intended it. He created the rules that make those relationships function. And what we're seeing is 98% of the U.S. population have rejected God's way to do family. And because of that, there's been a devastation of the family. We will prove this through the statistics, that the family is not only decreasing, but it's devastatingly close to extinction. That sounds pretty extreme, but the figures show that. The individual phenomenon that's going on is that every time somebody gets married, from the wedding on, their marriage is withdrawing from each other. It's a natural tendency because of the sin of selfishness. And because of that, it creates unresolved conflict. It creates isolation. It creates independence. It creates, eventually, it creates contempt, then divorce, then death of the family. And that is a tendency that will happen if you don't do it God's way. And as we're seeing, 98% are not doing it God's way. So the question is that, how do we, what is your take on this? We want to be able to, we're going to go down and ask your next question. We want to, about the statistics.
Okay. You want me to ask that question now?
Ask that question, yeah.
Okay.
I want to give you the statistics because then we're going to go and see what your attitude is about whether or not this applies to you. If it doesn't have any application to you, then you're really not, this is not of interest to you. But you want me to ask questions? Would you like for me to take you through the questions? No, let me first do the statistics, and then yes, we'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
But 98% of the U.S. population have, number one, rejected God's marriage as either singles or non-Christians, or two, have failed at marriage as Christian divorcees. Only 2% of the U.S. population are families doing it God's way. 2%. Divorce percentages: 80% of first marriages, 90% of second marriages, 95% of third marriages. These are emotional divorces, which are a combination of actual divorces and shell marriages, where there is really no life left in that marriage. About another important statistic is of what the family looks like now. It's about 2/3 are broken families and 1/3 are traditional families. According to the 2020 U.S. Census, the percentage of this is the percentage of U.S. population. 63% are broken families. That constitutes 33% are cohabitating homes. 23% are single mom homes, 4% are single dad homes, and 4% are orphaned. Only 37% are traditional families with two married parents living together with children under 18. That's a horrifying picture of the family today. The trend from 1960 to 2020 is marriages are decreasing dramatically from 72% to 44%. Singles are increasing dramatically from 21% to 56%. It's like there's a cancer that are going through our families that is growing, and it starts in stage 1 and goes to stage 4. The question is there a cure for this? Okay.
Okay, so let's do this again. Now, are these statistics that apply to Christian families?
These apply to all families. If you're looking just for Christian families, yes. Well, the ones that are the 2% that are doing it God's way are Christian.
Okay.
Okay. So the 2% and the 98 are either non-Christians or Christians, either rejecting it or not doing it correctly.
Okay. All right. So I want to loop around one more time. The 37%, there's only 37% of marriages in the United States that are a nuclear family.
Yeah.
In other words, a mother, a father, and the children, right?
Yeah.
Only 37%. And then you said how many singles? Oh, how many are cohabitating?
33%.
33%.
So
okay.
it's then you've got 21%, or let's see, what is that? 23% are single moms.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
4% are single dads.
And as you can see, when you're talking about this, one of the biggest things that children need is security. Mm-hmm. And this is, children are being brought into this world, but they don't have a secure and established home.
They're not protected, and a lot of abuse occurs because of the unprotection by not having that family structure.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I think you're saying that the marriages and families in the United States is in danger.
They're in trouble.
Big trouble.
Significantly.
So how can a married couple know?
But what's applicable to them, the ones that are listening today, is the pattern of single ones where your particular marriage is on the path to a divorce and destruction automatically, because of the sin nature of the husband and wife. And because of that, it automatically creates unresolved conflict and isolation and all that progression, just like a cancer going from stage 1 to stage 4, unless you do something about it. And and at this point, 98% of the people are not doing it God's way.
Okay. So how can a married couple know? Do you have a tool where you could evaluate what your status might be?
Right. That would be great, because that's the first thing that if I was you, that would be the first thing I would know is am I in that group? Am I in the 98? Or am I good? Or am I in the 2%? So the tool would be to God's way, for you to understand exactly what God's way means. That means there are 9 biblical behaviors that have to be applied to your daily activities on a consistent basis for your family to live. All 9. Okay, it's like an organism. It's like the human body with organs in it. All the organs have to work for that body to work. And when one of them doesn't work, eventually you're going to have infection and you're going to have potentially death or breakdown of that, and it could break the whole family, the whole down. So that's the way it works with the family. Those 9 biblical behaviors all have to function. Now, what are those?
Well, why don't you tell us?
Well, let's discuss that. I'll first tell you what they are, and then we can go into each one of them. The first one is quality and quantity time with the husband and wife. Okay. Second one is quality and quantity time between the parent and the child. The third one is quality and quantity time between the family and Christ. Okay. The fourth one is forgiveness between each other, so there's no record of wrongs. The fifth one is agape love, which is really being unselfish to the other, which is the opposite of what's going on these days, which is selfishness. It counteracts that. It is an unselfish behavior. Okay, that needs to be going on. Okay, the next one is mutual decisions, so that you become you're on the same page, you're in agreement, you're happy, you move forward, because the goal of marriage is what?
Becoming one.
Becoming one. Yeah. So that's not happening. We're moving apart these days. We need to becoming one. You do that through mutual decisions, on all decisions, by doing that. That's a great way. Okay. The next one is renewing of the mind. Renewing of the mind means that you're right now, you have a worldview and you're doing what is right in your own eyes. Okay. But what God said is no. Just like it wasn't good back in Noah's time, it's not good today. He says you need to have the mind of Christ. Okay, you need to know His perfect will. You have to, and that's a process we go through. The next one is intimacy. Very, very important. Man gets married, then all of a sudden they stop. That's not good, because that's an important part of a marriage and a family. So, but that's it's not just sex. It is emotional, spiritual, and physical intimacy that takes a lot of work to do this right, but it's very, very important. We teach you that. Okay, and then the last one is trauma healing, which gets overlooked way too much. Your past trauma can cause so much disruption in your ability to trust the other person, to be able to form that oneness, and it interrupts it. And because of that, sometimes you never become one because of that. It's such a disruption. So that one thing, one of the 9, could actually be the one thing that destroys your family. So that needs to be worked on and be in progress. So those are the 9. What do you think about it?
Well, one of my thoughts is, I think it was in the wrong order when you began. I think the key relationship begins with your relationship with God. You cannot, if you don't go vertical first, you can't go horizontal. So I would just flip my order. I would put God, the relationship, quality time with God, then quality time between the husband and wife, and then quality time as a family between parents and children.
Okay, those are 3.
Yeah, but that's I would change kind of that order. Then for number 4, you said forgiveness, right? And I loved what you said. You know, if there is unforgiveness in a relationship, the relationship can't grow. As you said, you're going to separate from one another. And
what if the other person doesn't deserve it?
Well, you forgive anyway, just as Christ forgave us, we forgive one another.
Right.
But I think, too, another element of the forgiveness is be quick to ask for forgiveness when you make a mistake. I think, you know, they say often the most powerful word you can speak to someone is, I love you. I think the most powerful words are, will you forgive me? Because saying that takes humility. And what you were talking about with that agape love, humility, not demanding your own way, not holding on to a record of wrongs.
For me, pride stops me so much from doing that I have to overcome that pride just to be able to say, will you forgive me?
Yeah. And it's just such a powerful thing. And then let's see, we said, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're to 5. What was your 5th one?
The 5th one is agape love, being unselfish.
All right. So when you talk about agape love, you've got, how many of us, when we got married, we didn't in our service, but I've been to so many weddings. One of the scriptures they read is 1 Corinthians 13. And when you look at what love is and what love isn't, love is patient, love is kind, love does not demand its own way. It is not self-seeking. It looks for the best in the other one, always looking for the best rather than focusing on the things that upset you. And so implementing those and becoming aware, I think, is a big part of it. Becoming aware of my own behavior, I cannot tell you how many times with Herb, if I said something and it wounded him, and he said, I felt disrespected. And I thought, well, what did I say? What did I do? So learning how to communicate and have those conversations and keeping a very short record of wrongs in saying, for instance, the XYZ statement, when you said this at this time, it made me feel. And then being willing to hear that and ask, how could I do it better next time? But forgiveness means you don't hold on to the past. You release the past, you take however your spouse offended you, you put it on God's hook.
Yeah.
And then
God will take care of it.
And then you move forward, but you can't just ignore it. You need to be willing to constantly make adjustments so you're constantly growing in the attributes of agape love.
Now, while we're at it, this is a great time for you to identify which one of these you do or you don't do. So score yourself. This is a great time to score the 9. How many of the 9 are you doing? And be honest when you do that. Are you actually doing these sufficiently to be able to make the other person happy?
Well, and I stop and I think, one thing is I think most of us know what to do. We just don't do it.
I'm not so sure that people know what to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the 2% does, and that seems to be the one that always shows up to listen to all the podcasts and all the marriage blogs and all that kind of stuff, are the 2% who don't really need it. But the 98% are the ones out there that are trying to do it their way rather than God's way. And I think they're listening to the world more than they are to God.
I see, yeah.
But we will teach you how to do that.
So we're talking about operating in your marriage, in your relationship with one another, the husband and the wife and the parents with the kids, and in your relationship with the Lord, operating from a biblical view versus a world view.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, then we've done the quality time with the Lord.
The next one is number 6.
Okay. And don't interrupt. Be polite. Okay. So I'm going to walk it through again because repetition's a good thing.
Okay.
All right. The 3 primary relationships which need intentional, undivided attention is the relationship with the Lord, the relationship between the husband and wife, and the relationship with the kids.
Correct.
Okay. Then forgiveness, how important that is. Then agape love. So now we're to number 6.
Mutual decisions versus independent decisions.
Okay.
Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, you could talk about that.
Well, to me, that's the most powerful thing that people are not doing, because they come in as singles. They've been used to making independent decisions their whole life. In fact, they are very proud of the fact that they make independent decisions and can conduct their life so well. But when you come together, you're supposed to become one person. At that point, you need to have joint decisions, but that's inconvenient. It's not efficient. And also, if you kind of have some arguments that don't work out so well, you want to stop doing that. So you stop talking to the other person and you just do what you're going to do. You have your own to-do list on both sides, and independent decisions will move you apart to the point of divorce and death. It gets to that extreme eventually, either short-term or long-term. So it's so important to be able to become one by you both agreeing on every decision in a family. And it's not as hard as you think. It really can be done. And when we've done it in groups, they've just talked about how powerful it is and how they did not realize how independent they were getting and how valuable it was to start learning how to do things together.
And one of the things too is in groups that we've done, the comment has been so many of the women have said, I just didn't realize how many independent decisions I was making. You know, it's expedient. I got to get something done. I just make the decision and do it. And I think it works both ways with the husband and the wife. So it's getting the mindset of we're going to communicate, and then we're going to communicate some more. And we're going to work as a team rather than going through our marriage and our life situations independently,
yeah.
Right?
There are two aspects of the mutual decision that is very powerful. The first one is when you're thinking about this before you get together to discuss it, your decision, you consult the Lord. That's one of the 4 questions: is am I being selfish? Is this what does the Lord think about this? The third one is, am I doing anything that my past is affecting me? Was that why I'm so intense about this? And the last one is, what about her point of view? I hadn't even considered her point of view. Doing that individually before you come together, a lot of times will solve problems before you, and you're able to make mutual decisions. But the other key powerful point of that is that you do not make a decision if it's not enthusiastically agreed to by both parties. No reluctant decisions. And so that is really critical, that both are happy with it. And it can be done, and it can be done very quickly. It can be done in as little as in 30 seconds. So but you have to get good at it, and we have to work at it. But they're very powerful.
And remember, you can go to the QR code and you can get the mutual decision process on PDF.
Do it yourself, try it out.
Or you can also go to the website and download it from there. So this is a great tool, and it's available. Just either QR code or go to the website and get it.
Well, if your husband really isn't on board with it, go ahead and learn it and use it on him. And half the time, he won't even know it's working. But all of a sudden, you're starting to do things together. He comes on board. So it can work for a single person. I mean, an individual who introduces it to the other one. So try it. It's powerful.
Okay. How about number 7?
Let's see.
Is that renewing the mind?
That's renewing of the mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about that?
Well, the renewing of the mind, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on this particular piece of the Academy. Renewing the Mind is written by
Romans 12:2.
Yeah, but the book that we use is
Barbara Raveling.
Barbara Raveling. If you want to just go to Amazon, you will find it. It's called the Renewing the Mind Project. Mm-hmm. And what it does that is so helpful, she identifies 16 emotions.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
16 different emotions.
Negative emotions.
Mm-hmm. And then she asks you questions that you process. Mm-hmm. Then after processing it, then she gives you a Bible verse as a battleground verse. But the way that we incorporated it is we encourage the husband and wife to do this together. And if one identified a negative emotion, say, got up in the morning feeling very stressed and overwhelmed, the other one would walk them through those questions. No comments. They just ask the question. The other person answers it. And then they can begin to see, for instance, with stress and feeling overwhelmed, some of the questions are, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the best could happen? If God allows it, are you willing to accept? Another one of the questions that I found very helpful was, how can you influence what's happening? You may not be able to change it completely, but there are things you could do. So being able to think at it from that perspective. So they take you through this whole process. And of course, it's all based on Romans 12:2. You know, do not be transformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will know what God's good and perfect will is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you want to add something?
So it's changing your mind into Christ's mind and seeing everything from him through his filter.
Okay. All right. Now, how about 8?
Okay. That was this intimacy. Okay. Now that intimacy is, although that's emotional, spiritual, and physical intimacy, which is much more complicated than what we think of as intimacy.
And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, the thing is that we have to learn as men, particularly after the wedding, that our job, one of our 4 roles, is to romance. I call it pursue, but is to romance our wife, just like we did to get them to marry us. But to do that, we don't know how to do that. We have to actually learn how to romance, because what we do is we think that it's just being around somebody or joking around. But the emotional intimacy that a wife needs is so different. She needs to know that she's cared for, that she's loved, that she's secure and that she's protected, that she's significant. And we have to become students of our wives to be able to know how to do that. But then also the spiritual side, we need to pray with our wives. We need to, and it's causing us to become one. We become closer. Intimacy, it means we're getting closer and becoming one person. And then the physical is, although sex is really important, there's so much more to it than that. And that's why it's so important for us men, particularly, to learn all about this about the other person, because we're basically cavemen most of the time, and we don't know how to do it well, and we need to learn how to do it well. And that's what God does, is God teaches us how to do it well.
Excellent. All right. So then the very last one is trauma healing. Yep. And as Herb was saying earlier, we have the tendency to bring our luggage into our marriage. We really should try to unpack that luggage before we get married. But so often we come into the marriage with luggage and we've never processed any of it. And when we don't process it, that's going to cause all kinds of problems in the marriage. And one of the things that once you are married, realize that you have to be for each other. If the wife comes in with luggage, that's now your luggage too. I'm sorry, that's the way it works. But learning how to come alongside one another and help them unpack that luggage and experience healing. Because if one individual is wounded, it bleeds out into not just the marriage, but into the whole family. So that piece of it's really important. And once you are married, I think so often people think I can put my luggage on the back burner. You can't. It doesn't work that way. It'll keep bleeding back out. There'll be certain trigger events, and your spouse will trigger things, or there will be tripwires, as some people say, that they're tripping over that they don't even know are there because of things that happened in your past. So it's really important.
Do we want to talk about our story and how that works, or do you want to save that for the Academy?
We can do that later.
Okay. Join the Academy. We'll tell you all about our story. It was it's at least 18 years long.
Well, and one of the things too is we are going to circle around and we're going to be addressing this I think our next podcast. Even we're going to have a couple come on and they're going to address some of the trauma in their marriage and the restoration that happened in that place. And then
I would say just about every marriage has trauma coming into it. In the past, it would maybe be one, but now it's almost always two. You come in with really past trauma. That people are really having difficulty getting over. And so what we do is we help you find ways to work through that through ministries. Get you in touch with ministries that can help you work through each one of those. So I think that's really going to wrap up what we're doing as far as this, and we ought to really take a break at this point.
Okay.
So I think we're going to take a break and show a video of our coaches in the Academy. Extremely high quality, great people, and you would love them. So let's show the video on our coaches. They're from 10 states.
and the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born. Then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not live, shall not fade. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Come on, if He raised you up, never shut again. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Sing praise.
In Dallas, Texas, with the Marriage Reboot Show. And we have been discussing with everyone about the Christian Marriage Reboot Academy and the 9 essential elements in having a God-centered, God-honoring, God-empowered marriage. So,
Right. And I want to emphasize the fact that this is not something, God does not grade on the curve. If you just do certain ones of the 9, He doesn't give you any grade at all. That's a failure of the organism. So you've got to do it all, and you've got to do it with the effort and the energy it takes to be able to do it sufficient to make the other person happy. So just wanted to know that this is not something that you can go and just do a little bit here or there. Marriage is and family is the most important thing you have going for you. And right now, if you're not doing all of the doing it God's way, then you're on a path of destruction. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. And it's whether or not somebody wants to ignore it or not. We're hoping that you won't ignore it, that you will say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to make the 3 major decisions it takes to be able to move on. And one is to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior. It's the first big decision. The second big decision is that I'm going to surrender and I'm going to follow Jesus and let Him direct me in His ways of showing me Christ's way. And then the last one is that I'm going to be all in on the 9 biblical behaviors continuously for the rest of my life, because that's what it takes. It's a living organism. So those 3 big decisions are the next step for you. If you and so we would hope that. One of the reasons why we created the academy is because there's really no other delivery system out there that does all 9. Okay. And because of that, we created the academy that does deliver all 9. And so the best way to get involved in that and to go through the 42 days of practicing these 9 biblical behaviors applied to your activities daily, we're doing that so that it will create a habit that it continues permanently after that. But we're encouraging you to go to join us. You saw our coaches. You saw how great that they can be. That you would go to our website. You see it at the top up there. It's and it's chrmarriagereboot.org. Go to that, and then read what it is. Rewatch this video, and call us with any kind of questions you have. Email us. We want you to feel comfortable in doing this, but you really need to join us. It's really critical for your family, as you've seen how serious this is, with the fact that 98% of the population is not doing it God's way. We want you to do it God's way because we care that much about it.
And one of the things that I'm just going to add this as a footnote and we'll talk more about this at another time. But one of the great tools that the Christian Marriage Reboot Academy gives you is they have workshops before you ever begin the academy.
Yeah.
And these workshops, the primary delivery system for implementing these 9 behaviors, biblical behaviors, is a shared online calendar.
Oh, yeah.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you each have your own calendar, you're doing your own thing. So it's a shared online calendar, and then also a weekly planning meeting where you're incorporating the mutual decision process. And that is constantly having you work as a team rather than individuals. And so in those workshops, we help you set up that shared online calendar. We help you plan your first weekly meeting. And we actually walk you through the tools that are going to help you implement all of these things on a day-to-day basis. And another great thing that we offer as well is the whole program is built on the Kajabi program. So you just go to that Kajabi program. Everything is laid out day by day, moment by moment.
Yeah.
But it's not rigid. You can adjust times, according to your family needs. We have recommended times, but you can adjust it.
Right.
And then also, we provide devotionals, 42 devotionals, daily devotionals that are like 5 minutes long. And we just encourage the husband and wife to do that devotional together, then cut it off, share what their takeaway was, ask each other how they can pray for one another, and then pray for one another. And this is a great habit to cultivate. But we'll get into more of the details in the future.
One more thing I wanted to let you know is this is in home.
Oh, yes.
This is in your home. This is in your life. Nobody else is involved in it. You're making decisions with the Lord Jesus Christ on everything that you do, just like you will after the academy is through. All it does is that it supports you in doing the activities that Christ says works in a marriage, in a family. And so it's in your home. It's private. There's nobody overlooking, nobody telling you have to do this. It's purely voluntary. This is because you want your family to live. You want your family to thrive. And so it's in your home. The only time that you're dealing with outsiders is on the Friday or the Sunday nights when you have Zoom meetings with cool couples from all over the United States, where you can encourage each other. You have a daily chat, which you can enter into if you want to support each other. But it's your private life, and you're doing it because you want your family to succeed. So it's not overbearing or anything. It's really purely your attitude. What do you want?
And so we're wrapping it up. We cannot thank you enough for being here. If you've got questions, like Herb said, go to the website. Email us if you have questions. Give us a call or leave a comment on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to you. And then next week, we're so excited. We're going to have guests, and they're going to talk about the trauma in their marriage and the beautiful restoration that God did in and through that situation. So have a great week.
Yeah. Another thing, when you go to the YouTube, you can the channel, you can go see testimonials of people who have gone through the academy and how it's changed their marriage, and all the important differences that are going on there. Of course, the biggest of all is going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same bed at the same time. It's gotten to be great reviews because of the fact that it brings security and comfort to both parties of knowing exactly where you are in that time spent together. So little things like that really build up.
Okay. Well, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we hope you'll join us next week and tell people about us.
Okay, great.
don't know if it's over. Is it over?
Yeah, it's over.
Oh, how do you know? It's still running.
I don't know. Angelo, I think we're through. I don't know.
What's going on? Want to sing a song? I don't know what we're supposed to do.
And we could play Shanae's song. You know, she's a good singer.
I wish we had her here.
Yeah,
I know.
that's right. I've got her song.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's see. Maybe we can play Shanae's song.
Well, by the time you find it, I think we'll be done. I don't know what's going on.